The woman in the mud. The wind howled across the empty alien plains. The sky was gray, thick with smoke and ash. Jack, a human scout from Earth, walked slowly through the broken land. His boots crunched over glassy stones and burnt plants. His scanner beeped softly with every step. This planet had once been full of life. Now it was silent. Dead. Jack wasn't looking for trouble. He had come to check for survivors. Anyone left after the war between alien factions. Earth had stayed out of it. But now, with the fighting over, someone had to see what was left behind. As he moved through the ruins of an alien village, Jack's eyes narrowed. There, half buried in the mud, something moved. He stopped. At first, it looked like just another broken statue or dead creature. But then, it shifted. A soft whimper reached his ears, almost lost in the wind. He stepped closer. A figure lay, curled in the wet dirt. Thin arms, slender legs, long hair tangled with mud and leaves. Her skin was pale blue, almost silver in the dim light. Her body was shaking, but she didn't move. She looked broken. Jack's breath caught. Is she alive? He knelt beside her carefully. The woman was completely naked, covered in thick mud. Her eyes were closed, lips trembling. Her face was delicate, alien, but beautiful. Not like any species Jack had met before. He touched her, shoulder gently. Her eyes snapped open. Jack flinched, but she didn't attack. She just stared at him, wide, frightened eyes glowing softly. Her lips moved. Please, don't leave me, she whispered, barely audible. Jack's heart squeezed. Her voice was weak like a dying flame. Every instinct told him to back away. She was an unknown species, possibly dangerous. She might be infected or worse. Bait. Still, she looked more like a victim than a threat. Hey, Jack said softly. It's okay. I'm not here to hurt you. She blinked slowly, then fainted. Jack looked around quickly. The area was open, no cover, no sign of enemy drones, yet. But they could come any moment. He reached into his backpack and pulled out a thermal blanket, wrapping it around her shaking form. Her skin was freezing. Jack activated his wrist comm. Scout Alpha 9 to base, found a survivor, female, alien, unarmed, weak condition, requesting medical evac. The device crackled. No response. He tried again. Still nothing. His comms were being jammed. Jack cursed under his breath. Something or someone didn't want anyone talking to Earth Command. He had a decision to make: leave her and walk away, or carry her to safety and risk everything. He looked down at her again. Her face was calm now, peaceful. But under the mud, he saw something strange. Faint glowing lines across her skin, like ancient markings or technology buried inside her body. Who are you? Jack whispered. He didn't know, but he couldn't leave her there to die. He lifted her gently into his arms. She was light, fragile like glass. Her head rested on his shoulder. The wind picked up again as Jack turned back toward his small outpost, carrying the alien woman through the ash-covered field. Inside the shelter, he laid her on a bed and cleaned the mud from her face. Slowly, her features became clearer. She wasn't just beautiful, she was different, regal, like someone important, even in her broken state. She stirred slightly in her sleep. Jack sat by her side, watching. The scanner beeped again. Movement. Outside, his eyes shot to the door. He grabbed his weapon. Through the camera, he saw shapes moving in the distance, flying drones, alien tech, and they were scanning the area. They were looking for something, or someone. Jack looked back at the woman. What did I just step into? He muttered. She opened her eyes slowly, looked at him and whispered, They're coming. Jack's blood turned cold. She's not what she seems. Jack locked the door of his outpost and dimmed the lights. The alien woman lay on the bed, still weak but breathing better now. Her skin shimmered slightly under the soft light, like tiny Stars lived just beneath the surface. He had seen many alien species before, but never like this. Jack sat down on a crate nearby, his weapon resting across his lap. He kept looking at her, wondering who she was, and why someone would hunt her down on a dead planet. Suddenly her eyes opened. She sat up slowly, clutching the blanket to her chest. Her voice came out low, cracked like dry leaves. "Where am I?" "You're safe," Jack said gently. "At least for now." She looked around the room, her expression sharp despite her weak body. "You're human," she said. Jack gave a small nod. "And you're not." The woman smiled faintly, but it was a sad smile. "Then maybe I really am the last." Jack leaned forward. "What do you mean?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she touched the glowing lines on her arm. They pulsed softly under her fingers. "My name is Vel-Ari," she said at last. "I was once a protector of my people, but now they are gone. Betrayed. Destroyed." Jack frowned. "And those drones outside?" "They belong to those who took my home," she whispered. "They hunt what remains of the old bloodline. Me." Jack felt a chill. "Why? What do they want from you?" Vel-Ari looked at him. Her silver eyes glowed faintly. "Control. Power. I carry something they cannot create. A piece of what once ruled the stars." Jack blinked. "You're royalty?" She shook her head. "Worse. I am hope." Before he could ask more, a loud beep came from the scanner. Jack jumped up and looked at the screen. 3 drones were flying closer. Their red lights scanned the area, sweeping the fields like searchlights. "They found us," Jack muttered. Vel-Ari stood up, weak but determined. "You should leave me. They won't hurt you if you hand me over." Jack stared at her. "And let them take you? What kind of man do you think I am?" She looked confused. "A survivor. Like most humans." Jack smirked. "I'm not most humans." He grabbed his rifle and checked the battery. Then he turned to her. "Can you walk?" She nodded slowly. "Yes." "Good. If they're coming, we move now." Vel-Ari took a step. Stumbled. Jack caught her. "Easy," he said. "Lean on me." As they reached the back exit, Jack pressed a button on the wall. The outpost systems went into lockdown mode. He had one trick left, an old Earth stealth drone he'd modified himself. He activated it. A small orb flew into the air and created a cloak around them, blending them into the shadows. "Stay close," Jack whispered. "They can't see us, but if they hear anything..." Vel-Ari didn't speak. She moved silently beside him. They slipped through the ruins under the cover of smoke and fog. The enemy drones hovered above, scanning. One passed just a few meters away, its red light brushing past them. Vel-Ari suddenly winced. "What is it?" Jack whispered. "My skin. It's reacting. They're using signal beacons to track me." Jack cursed. "How far can you go like this?" Vel-Ari looked at him. "I can go as far as you can carry me." Jack didn't even hesitate. He picked her up again and ran. Half an hour later, they reached a cave system hidden beneath old rock formations. Jack set her down and collapsed beside her, breathing hard. "I'm going to need answers soon," he said. Vel-Ari looked at him, her voice soft. "Then you should know, I was born not just with power but with a purpose. The enemy wants to use my body to create more like me, controlled, obedient royal blood, but I refused." Jack's eyes widened. "You were tortured?" She nodded. "Left to die, until you came." Jack felt something burn in his chest. Not fear, but anger. He stood up. "No one's going to take you again," he said. Vel-Ari tilted her head. "Why would a human risk his life for someone like me?" Jack looked into her eyes and said, "Because no one should die cold and alone in the mud." The truth in her eyes, the cave was cold and dark, but it was safer than the open field. Jack had set up a small fire using old survival gel. It gave off a soft blue light that danced on the stone walls. Velari sat across from him, wrapped in a blanket. Her eyes reflected the fire like twin moons. Jack handed her a water capsule. She took it, her fingers brushing his. Her touch was warm now, not ice cold like before. For a while they didn't speak. Finally, Jack broke the silence. You said they tortured you because of your blood? Velari nodded slowly. My people were once ruled by the crown of Ysera. It's not a crown you wear. It's a living light passed from queen to queen. Jack leaned in. And you have that light? Velari hesitated. Not fully. I am a descendant. A spark remains in me. That's why they want me. To rebuild a new empire with my blood, with me as a tool. Jack frowned. Monsters. They called it preserving legacy. But it was slavery. She pulled the blanket down a little, revealing the skin on her shoulder. Jack's eyes widened. Glowing lines formed strange shapes. Circular runes, floating just under the surface of her skin. They pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. This is what they were trying to extract, she said quietly. They failed. And so they left me in the mud, thinking I would die with it. Jack stared, unsure what to say. Velari looked into his eyes. But I didn't die. You found me. Jack nodded. And I'm not going to let them take you. Velari tilted her head. Why? You don't even know me. Jack took a deep breath. I know enough. You were in pain. You begged me not to leave you. I didn't leave. She looked at him for a long moment. Then her voice became softer. You're different from what they said humans are. Jack raised an eyebrow. What did they say? That you are selfish, cold, brutal. Jack laughed quietly. Sometimes, maybe, but sometimes we surprise even ourselves. Suddenly the cave trembled. A rumble echoed from above. Dust fell from the ceiling. Jack jumped to his feet and grabbed his scanner. Something's coming. Velari stood too, holding the blanket tight around her. They found us? Jack shook his head. No, not yet. But there's movement. Underground. Velari's eyes narrowed. Old tunnels. The ancient cities ran deep below this surface. They may still be active. Jack glanced at her. That good or bad? Depends. We might find a way out. Or we might wake something worse. Jack sighed. Always good news with you. He packed up quickly and handed Velari a small stun device. You know how to use this? She looked at the weapon, then smiled faintly. Yes. Together, they followed the vibration down a narrow path. The firelight flickered against the walls as they descended into the dark. After walking for 15 minutes, they found a strange door, old, made of metal and stone, with symbols etched into it. Velari stepped forward and placed her hand on the surface. The runes on her skin began to glow, and the door responded, slowly opening with a low hum. Jack stared. That's not normal. Velari looked back at him. This place was built by my ancestors. It answers to my blood. Inside was a chamber filled with glowing crystals, alien tech, and ancient armor. Jack stepped in, amazed. This is a treasure vault, he whispered. Velari walked slowly through the room. Her fingers hovered over an old blade floating in mid-air. My people believed in honor, in sacrifice. They would rather die than be used. She turned to Jack. I need to be strong again. If they catch me weak, they'll win. But I don't want to fight alone. Jack looked her straight in. The eyes. You won't, I'm with you. Velari stepped closer, their eyes locked. Then I will trust you, she said. But you must understand. If they find you helping me, you'll be hunted too. Jack smiled, a little crooked. Let them come. A signal and a trap deep underground. Jack adjusted the old alien radio he found in the vault. The control panel was covered in dust and glowing symbols, but Velari had shown him how to activate it. We need help, Jack said. If Earth Command knows we're alive, they'll come. Velari nodded, though her eyes looked worried. This tech is ancient. Some of it connects across systems, but someone else might hear us too. Jack pressed the transmitter. This is Scout Alpha 9. Survivor located. Unknown species, female, injured. Hostile drones active. Requesting emergency extraction. Repeat. Requesting evac. He sent the signal 3 times. Then silence. Valari stood quietly beside him. The cave chamber felt colder now. The soft blue light from the crystals on the walls flickered, as if something unseen was moving. You said someone else might hear it, Jack said. Who? Valari turned toward the hallway behind them. Her voice was soft but firm. Those who hunt me. They listen to every whisper, every signal. They never stop. Jack nodded. Then we move before they do. They left the vault and climbed upward through another tunnel. Jack marked the walls with chalk arrows as they walked, just in case they had to come back. As they reached a higher level, his wrist scanner beeped. Jack checked the screen and froze. Contact. Multiple signals. Coming fast. Valari's eyes widened. They're already here? Jack looked up. That was no rescue signal, that was a trap. Moments later, the tunnel ceiling above exploded. Rocks rained down. Dust filled the air. From the smoke dropped 3 hunter drones, sleek, black, and silent. Their red eyes locked on Valari. Jack shoved her behind him and opened fire. His plasma bolt struck the first drone, knocking it into the wall. Sparks flew. The second drone dodged left and shot back. A bolt grazed Jack's shoulder, burning his suit. He gritted his teeth and fired again, straight through its eye. The drone collapsed, twitching. The third drone flew upward, targeting Valari. She raised her hand and screamed. Light burst from her palm, forming a glowing shield. The drone's weapon struck the energy field and rebounded, smashing into the wall. Valari fell to her knees, breathing hard. Jack rushed to her side. What was that? I don't know, she gasped. It happened on instinct. Jack looked at the dead drones. Then keep trusting your instincts. They pushed forward through the broken tunnels, Valari leaning on Jack. Blood dripped from his burned shoulder, but he didn't stop. Finally, they reached the outer exit, a wide cavern with moonlight pouring through a crack above. Jack climbed to higher ground and checked his long-range beacon. It blinked red. Still jammed. Valari sat against the wall, exhausted. Her glowing skin pulsed faster now, unstable. Your power, Jack said. Is it getting stronger? No, she whispered. It's getting louder, like it's calling to something. Jack's eyes narrowed. Or someone. Then, from above, a deep voice echoed across the chamber. Well done, human. You brought her right to us. Jack turned and saw them. Squad of tall, armored aliens stepped into the light. Their leader wore a jagged crown made of bone and steel. His eyes burned yellow. Valari gasped. No. Jack stood in front of her, gun raised. If you want her, you go through me. The alien leader smiled. Gladly. He raised his hand, and the ground beneath them shook. Suddenly, Jack's legs collapsed. An energy trap activated, pinning him to the floor with magnetic force. His weapon clattered away. Valari screamed and tried to rise, but her body froze mid-movement. A paralyzing beam locked her in place. The alien leader walked closer. You should have died in the mud, girl, he sneered. But thank this human. Now we'll take both of you. Jack's eyes burned with fury. Touch her, and I swear, the alien laughed. You swear? You're weak. Just a man with a broken body. Jack looked up, blood on his face, voice sharp and calm. Then you clearly don't know humans. Human courage. Alien heart Jack lay trapped on the floor, his limbs pinned by a magnetic force. Every muscle in his body burned. He could barely lift his head, but his eyes stayed fixed on Valari. She was frozen, standing upright, her body glowing, faintly like starlight underwater. The paralyzing beam held her still, but her eyes, those silver eyes, were alive with rage and fear. The alien commander stepped between them. Tell me, Valari, he said with a cruel smile. Was this human your plan? To escape with a weak creature by your side? How noble, how pathetic. Jack coughed, blood in his mouth. You talk too much, the commander turned to him amused. Still trying to act brave? Jack grinned. No, I am brave. And with that, Jack slammed his head into the ground. There was a sharp crack, his shoulder bone snapped back into place. Velari's eyes widened in horror. Why did you? Jack screamed but kept moving. With his arm free, he reached into his boot and pulled out a small, hidden blade. His fingers bled as he slashed the trap's power wire. Sparks flew. The magnetic field vanished. The commander's smile faded. Jack rolled to his knees, grabbed his fallen gun, and fired straight into the control drone above Velari. The beam holding her collapsed. She dropped to her knees, gasping. Run! Jack shouted, but she didn't run. She rose slowly, her hands glowing like fire. Velari's skin shined brighter with each breath. The markings across her body lit up in gold and blue patterns. Even the air around her began to ripple. The alien soldiers stepped back, unsure. The commander raised his weapon. Don't even try it. Velari took a step forward. You left me to die. Now feel what that death has awakened. The ground cracked beneath her. A wave of light exploded outward, sending the enemy soldiers flying. Jack shielded his face as wind and energy surged through the cave. When he looked again, Velari stood like a goddess of war, her hair floating, her eyes glowing with fury. She raised her hand. And the commander's weapon shattered into pieces. Jack got to his feet, swaying. Remind me never to make you angry, he muttered. Velari smiled, but it was a sad smile. This power, it's not a gift. It's a burden. She looked at the fallen soldiers. It destroys everything. That's why I ran. Jack stepped closer. But today, it saved us. You saved me. Suddenly, a loud hum echoed through the cave. A new ship descended outside, engines roaring. Jack cursed. Reinforcements, Velari, placed her hand on the cave wall. There's a hidden exit. Through the roots. She moved toward it but paused. You don't have to follow me anymore. Jack raised an eyebrow. After all this? I'm not going anywhere. She stared at him, surprised. I saw you snap your own bone just to protect me, she said. That's not something most humans would do. Jack shrugged. Maybe I'm not most humans. She touched his hand, just for a second. Thank you. Then they ran. They slipped through the tunnel beneath the roots of the cave. Water dripped from the ceiling. The passage narrowed, then opened into a wide, hidden chamber. It looked like a temple, walls covered in old symbols, a glowing orb floating in the center. Velari stepped forward slowly, whispering, This is the Heartstone. It belonged to the first queens of my line. Jack looked around. What does it do? She turned to him. If I connect with it, it will unlock the full power in my bloodline, enough to destroy every ship chasing us. Jack stared at her. And the cost? I don't know, she said softly. It may take my life, or worse, take my mind. He stepped forward and placed a hand on her shoulder. Then don't do it. I must. No, Jack said. You don't have to do this alone. She looked at him, confused. You're not one of us. Jack met her gaze. Maybe not, but I chose to stand with you. Velari closed her eyes and placed both hands on the orb. The chamber lit up. Her body lifted from the ground, floating in air, glowing brighter than ever before. Jack stood below, watching in awe. And then, everything went white. The hidden royal. Bloodlight swallowed everything Jack couldn't see, couldn't hear, couldn't breathe. Then, like waking from a long dream, he gasped and dropped to his knees. The light faded. The ancient temple chamber was silent. Velari floated in the air, eyes closed, her body glowing like a living sun. Her feet slowly touched the ground. Jack stood up, dizzy. Velari? She opened her eyes. They weren't silver anymore. They were gold. Golden like the first dawn, and glowing lines ran down her arms, her neck, her face. No longer random, but forming a crown made of light. She looked calm, powerful, changed. I remember now, she whispered. I remember everything. Jack stepped closer, unsure. Everything? She nodded slowly. The line of Ysera lives in me, not a spark. The whole flame. I am the last daughter of the royal blood, the final queen. Jack blinked. Then the legends were true? Yes, she said. And now, they will come in greater numbers. As, if summoned by her words, a deep rumble shook the ground. From far above, the sky cracked with thunder, not from nature, but from ships entering the atmosphere. Jack checked his scanner. A fleet. Not just drones this time. An entire army. Velari turned to the center of the chamber. The Heartstone floated quietly now, its power inside her. She walked to a console nearby, an old control system covered in dust. The temple holds one last gift, she said. A shield, strong enough to protect this world, but it can only be activated with my blood. Jack frowned. Won't they just wait outside, or bomb the planet? They want me alive, she said. They won't destroy the place until they're sure I'm dead, or captured. She looked at him seriously. I can buy us time, but I'll need you to go to the surface. Jack's eyes narrowed. Alone? You know how to move quietly. If you can plant this, she handed him a pulsing energy spike. On their central command beacon. I can overload their systems, just for a moment. A moment might not be enough. Velari stepped closer. Her hand touched his cheek. You gave me hope when I had none. Now let me give you a chance to survive. Jack took a breath, held her hand and said, I'm not doing this to survive. I'm doing this because I believe in you. Above the surface, the alien fleet had landed. Massive dark ships floated over the old cities. Search parties marched through ruins, scanning for movement. Jack, dressed in camo gear, crawled through the shadows. The energy spike blinked in his hand. He reached a ridge and saw it, the command tower. He moved fast, heart pounding. Every second mattered. Back in the temple, Velari stood in front of the shield controls. The lines on her skin pulsed faster. Her breathing grew heavier. She could feel the crown's energy pressing against her mind. Voices, memories, generations of royal blood calling her to rise or fall. But she stayed grounded, because she wasn't just a queen now. She was Velari, the one who survived the mud, the pain, the silence, and found purpose in a human's eyes. Jack reached the command tower's base. 2 guards. He waited, then struck, fast, hard, silent. He planted the spike at the core, then whispered into his wrist, calm. Now. Velari closed her eyes and activated the shield. The entire planet shook. A wave of golden energy blasted outward from the temple, rising into the sky like a second sun. Alien ships pulled back, sensors screaming. The enemy leader, high aboard his flagship, stared in rage. She has awakened the crown. Below, the shield shimmered, locking into place. Jack, barely out of range, tumbled behind a broken wall as light roared past him. He looked up in awe. The sky was now protected, and for the first time, the enemy could not reach her. Velari dropped to her knees, exhausted. Blood dripped from her nose. Her hands trembled. The price was heavy, but worth it. Jack's voice came through the comm. I did it, and I'm still alive somehow. She smiled weakly. Then we have a chance. Hope in human hand smoke drifted across the broken battlefield. The shield around the planet still shimmered, but its glow had dimmed. The enemy fleet floated above, unable to breach it. Frustrated. Watching. Inside the ancient temple, Velari lay still. Her breathing was shallow. The glow that once danced across her skin had faded. The crown's power had taken its toll, physically and mentally. She had given everything to protect Jack, to protect hope. Suddenly, the temple doors creaked open. Boots echoed on stone. Jack stumbled in, bloodied and bruised, armor scorched. From blast fire, he dropped to his knees beside her. "Velari, I'm here." Her eyes fluttered open, weak, but alive. "You came back," she whispered. Jack laughed through the pain. "You sound surprised?" She tried to smile, but her face tightened in pain. "I didn't think I'd see you again." Jack held her hand gently. "I said I'd stand with you. That doesn't end when things get hard." She looked at him for a long moment, then whispered, "You could have run. Saved yourself." Jack shook his head. "I didn't just save you, back then in the mud. You saved me too." Above them, the enemy flagship began retreating. Without access to the surface, without the crown, they were nothing. Their plan had failed. For now. But Jack knew this wasn't the end. "More will come," he said. Velari nodded. "And we'll face them together." Weeks later, Earth Command finally responded. Ships arrived, scanning the planet, confused, to find a human signal inside a royal alien structure. When they landed, they found Jack standing in front of the temple, wearing armor built from alien tech, and beside him, a tall, elegant figure with golden eyes and glowing marks across her skin. Velari, the last queen. The alien commanders bowed. The human officers froze. Jack stepped forward. "This is Velari. She's not just royalty. She's a survivor, a protector, and she's under my protection." Velari looked at him, touched. She squeezed his hand. "And he," she added, "is no ordinary human. He is the reason I'm alive." A new alliance was formed. Velari offered peace and technology lost for generations. In return, Earth gave her sanctuary. But she didn't want to stay hidden. She wanted to fight. She trained with human soldiers, rebuilt what was lost, and began helping others across the stars, those left behind like she was. 1 year later, Jack stood on a balcony of the new capital built on the once-forgotten planet. Velari joined him wearing her royal armor. Modern now, part Earth, part ancient tradition. "Still not used to this crown thing," Jack said with a grin. Velari smiled. "You wear your scars better." He looked at her. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I'd walked away?" She didn't blink. "I would have died. Alone. Covered in mud. No hope." Jack's voice softened. "And now?" Velari turned to face him fully. "Now I have a future, because a human saw more than just a broken alien." She leaned closer. "And because he gave me something I thought was lost forever." Jack whispered, "What's that?" She touched his chest. "Trust." As the twin suns rose over the horizon, casting gold across the new world, Velari and Jack stood side by side, once strangers. Now something more. Hope. Reborn in human hands. The end.